Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the TCT Podcast. My name is Cale Fleming. Alongside me today are my two good friends, Tyson Snyder and Gavin Campbell. Today on the rundown, we have a little bit of everything coming at you here. We have our first topic being the Illinois and Purdue game taking place tomorrow at 2:30 here in Champaign. We're going to transition to the NFL as well as high school football. We're going to go through our picks for this week. We'll go back over them on Monday. I know I'm already going to win this week, so I don't even know why these guys are still trying. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA, maybe a little bit of Jimmy Butler, see what's going on in Minnesota. And then last, we're going to have my 3 stars of the week in the NHL, just to round it out. So, but yeah, I'm going to turn it back over to Gav, trying a little something a little different today, seeing how it goes. Gav, what's up, man?
Yeah, not much. I actually didn't think that was that bad. So you know what? Good job. I was definitely waiting for you to fall flat on your face, but I think it's acceptable. So yeah, like Cale said, we're going to jump into the Purdue-Illinois football game here. Continuing the Big Ten play, Purdue 2-3 on the season at the University of Illinois. They're also flip-flopped that record, 3-2 on the year. Purdue been kind of up and down, really. They've beaten a couple really good teams and lost to a couple subpar teams, or subpar opponents, excuse me. And man, this one is just it's got me scratching my head because I feel like Illinois could come out on top, but I also feel like Purdue could blow us out of the water. So with that said, real quick, let me get your guys' input on this upcoming matchup tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to start with this. Purdue has a 79% chance of winning the game tomorrow. I don't know how they have that high of a chance of winning tomorrow's game, and they're also 10-point favorites. So Illinois is coming into as the underdog with a better record. I don't understand that. Now, I understand that Purdue's probably played a little bit better competition, and they've won 2 or 3 games. They lost to Northwestern, who's slumping, although they did put up some decent points against Michigan and Michigan State, and they did beat Michigan. I understand that, but I don't understand how Illinois is 10-point underdogs or how we only have a 27% chance of winning this game tomorrow. I don't get it. The only 2 things I can think of is their quarterback and Blau, and then their receiver and that real tall guy, Moore. He has 41 receptions with 457 reception yards this season. And Blau, though, has thrown 7 TDs, but he's thrown for 1,300 yards. So that's a little bit of that's going to be a sight to see, I'll put it that way, against our secondary tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think the main thing, Purdue started 0-3, but since then they are 2-0. They've won their last 2 games against a ranked Boston College team who was ranked 23 at the time, and they beat them 30-13. And then they absolutely smoked Nebraska last week too, 42-28. So they're putting up a lot of points, and I think that's what's making them the favorites so far this week. Just because we know they can score. Their quarterback play is by far better than ours as far as a quarterback passing rating goes. We've got MJ Rivers, who's thrown for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, and we've got AJ Bush, who's thrown for similar yardage and 2 touchdowns, but he's ran for 4 now, something like that.
3 or 4.
But the quarterback play in Blau, it's head and shoulders above what the Illini have been able to show us so far this year. As far as the running game goes, I think the Illini still have it with Reggie Corbin and Mike Epstein. Reggie Corbin's got more than their leading rusher by almost 100 yards through the season so far.
And that's splitting the carries as well.
Right, and that's split. He's got 59 carries. DJ Knox has 70, so he's got 11 less carries and almost 100 more yards. So the running game, we've got a clear advantage there, but as far as passing goes, I think that's where a lot of that rating has come into, that we've got a 72% chance, especially because our secondary has been our weakest spot so far this year on the defense.
Well, and I feel like we were missing our X factor again this week without MJ Rivers out there in the backfield under center. I thought after last week's performance, mostly because that Rutgers defense, I was hoping Rivers would have got a shot. AJ Bush, he performed all right. I'm not going to knock him. A couple rushing touchdowns. Did he throw for one? I can't remember if he did or not. Threw 1 touchdown pass. I believe that's also his first passing touchdown of the year, correct me if I'm wrong. MJ Rivers still has more than him, and he's only played in 6 quarters. So yes. That just right there in itself should be a flag for me. But go ahead.
I'm glad that Rivers is starting, though, because Blau likes to pass, but Rivers likes to pass too. Problem is he doesn't have anybody to pass to MJ Rivers. He's got Ricky Smalling, his leading receiver, with 11 receptions, 150 yards. So in the red zone, they're fine. But I don't know. I like the matchup with Blau and Rivers a lot better than I do with Blau and Bush. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Right. That's my argument. I wish that Rivers was starting in this game.
I think he is. He should be.
He should. I thought AJ Bush got the start.
He got the nod.
He did get the nod. Okay, well, that's
I'm really confused.
Okay, then I guess I was wrong. Then I must have been looking at stuff from last week, but I thought AJ Bush was getting the start this week.
No,
okay,
well
that's great news. Then let me continue on MJ because I love this kid. Tell you what, now I think we got an even better chance because MJ is playing.
Exactly. I don't understand how we're still 10-point underdogs.
Well, especially being at home because we know the way that the Vegas does, and I know you taught me this. The Vegas does the odds. They automatically give 3 points to the home team.
Yes.
So if they were playing away, this would be a 13-point favorite for Purdue.
Probably higher than 13.
Right. I'm saying just Illinois not being at home. So this tells you that it could be as high as 13. So the fact that we're still in double digits and we have a better record and arguably have gone up a couple more tougher opponents, especially in Penn State in itself, and being competitive for the first 3 quarters. That was in itself a feat that Illinois needed. Like you said, if we take away the fourth quarter, I mean, only losing by 4 points, we covered more than anyone thought that we would other than giving up 5 touchdowns in 15 minutes. But that's another story for a different day. I think that they have a lot higher chance of winning this ball game than anyone's giving them credit for right now.
Don't get me wrong. I understand why we're 10-point underdogs. It's because they have won 2 very good games in the last 2 weeks. I understand that. But at the same time, Illinois is playing their best football they have all year, probably since the 2000s.
The best football they've played in the last 5 years.
Exactly. So under Levy, this is the best football we've played. We're 3-2. We finally have a winning record for the first time since the beginning of last year.
First Big Ten win that we touched on in over 700 days last episode.
So, I mean, we're riding high into Purdue. And not only that, we're at home. It's our homecoming, so we're going to show Purdue how we play football here in Illinois as opposed to Indiana. Although I won't say the same for University of Indiana. But for Purdue, no, I just feel like Illinois has the better opportunity being at home. It's our homecoming. We're coming juiced off of that big win at Rutgers. It wasn't that big, but it was 38-17, enough to get the wheels in motion. I feel like Illinois should have no struggles beating Purdue tomorrow.
I mean, that's a 20-point win, 21-point win. That's 3 touchdowns. That's a pretty good win. And as far as like the stats go for each team, they're scoring 31 a game. We're scoring 29. They're letting up 26. We're letting up 28. Their total yardage is at 490. Ours is at 411.
So right there with
right. Their yards allowed is 447. Ours is 483. So it's very, very close in every statistic. And we've played just as good a competition as them. That's with a blowout loss against Penn State.
Yep.
Which they haven't had any teams that they've played against that are above and head and shoulders above everybody else like Penn State is.
Well, let's remember Penn State was ranked in the top 10 in the nation when we did play them.
Yep.
So that's got to factor into it as well. And let me say this. I think what it comes down to is that there's no way that they should be almost 80. Purdue should not have an almost 80% chance to win this game.
No.
I think that's laughable to me, and that's from a completely unbiased standpoint. I mean, 80%. That's almost a guaranteed win at that point. I think it should be closer to maybe 60, even closer to 50 at this point because they're at home.
50-50, easy.
Absolutely, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think people are going to be shocked in this game. That's what I think. I don't know how MJ Rivers is going to respond after not getting the start last week at Rutgers, but maybe he'll see this opportunity to better himself and secure that starting job for weeks to come, the rest of the season. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to him. Like Tyson said, I think running backs are going to play as well as they've been playing all season, especially against this Purdue front four. I think Illinois ultimately will come out on top. I think that's my feeling that I'm getting before tomorrow.
So I've got Illinois over Purdue. You've got Illinois over Purdue. Ty, what do you got?
I'll take Illinois too. I think that 80 is a slap in the face, and I think those players will see that, or 72, I guess, but. I don't think it's that far tilted in Purdue's favor. If anything, I'd give it 50-50. I think this is anybody's game. It's going to come down to the wire, but I think Illinois is going to take it at home.
I'll be there tomorrow, too, so I can't wait. And some other news I want to talk about other than the game. Cornerback Bennett Williams, true sophomore, was dismissed from the team on Thursday, fellas, for a violation of team rules. Now, nobody knows exactly what he did violate, but I will say this, was that he was suspended for the first 2 or 3 games of the year, against Penn State, Kent State, and UCF. So he was suspended for the first 3 games, and then he got to play a little bit against he got to play a little bit against Penn State at home, but he did not travel to Rutgers. So I don't know exactly what happened. Could have been anything. Could have been on the field. Could have been off the field. Who knows? But he's no longer with the team. He's no longer with the. I believe he's still at the U of I, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, he's no longer on the team. That's kind of sad because he's one of our better cornerbacks, even though he's only a true sophomore. But last season, he has made a complete jump from where he was at last year, I should say. So it's kind of sad and disheartening that he probably made some decisions that he shouldn't have. And he did come out and tell the Illini Inquirer, Jeremy Warner, I believe is who it was, he said that he takes full responsibility for his actions, so he is being a man about the whole thing and an adult. Second bit of news I have today, guys, is Bryce Childress, as we know, during the Rutgers game in the first quarter last week, he took to Twitter and announced that he was decommitting from the University of Illinois for 2019. Well, I was reading around on the Illini Inquirer stating that he may be retracting that decision and he may still be committing to the University of Illinois. So now we got to understand, I talked about it last week, is that these kids are 17 years old. They make passion plays. If they feel like if they're not being showed the respect that they deserve or anything, a whole thing of ailments could have hindered his decision. But now, from what I understand, is that he is wanting to recommit to the University of Illinois. So out of that, it's a good thing for the U of I because he's a receiver that maybe doesn't have it in size, but he's got it in heart and toughness, and that's what this Illinois team needs is grit. And I feel like this whole class of 2019 has a lot of grit. So good news for the Illini program.
Absolutely. Either way, it's a nice piece for Illinois to add on to their core, especially coming in next year. We've talked about it many times on this show, how excited we are for next year's Fighting Illini football program, as well as basketball and this upcoming year. And that's something that we're going to be looking forward to for the months to come.
Speaking of basketball, we really need to get a commit at this point. Man, we really need to get somebody to commit to the University of Illinois. We just had I'm not going to go too long on this. We just had the Big Ten Media Days yesterday up in Chicago. So for basketball, obviously. So we're getting there, boys. Basketball season is upon us. Gavin, the NBA starts on the 16th. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Illini basketball is coming quicker than we think. So I'm excited for Illini basketball. But yeah, so going off of that, we're going to transition into the NFL this week. Last night, the Giants played the Eagles in New York, I believe. The final score of that game was Philadelphia 34, the New York 13. Eli Manning threw a pick in about the first 3 seconds that he was out there on his first drive. I believe it was the third play or second play even. Eli Manning doesn't have it anymore. People are saying he just needs to hang him up and walk away. What do you guys think about that?
At least finish the season. I mean, if he's going to retire, finish. I wouldn't walk away. I wouldn't have the coach bench him, especially what are they 1-5 now?
Yes.
So I definitely wouldn't. There's some people out there that say the NFC East is still open, but when you're 1-5, your chances of making the playoffs is less than 10%. So I wouldn't count on it, and that's just being a realist. I think that Eli
Ads.
Man, he is just fallen from grace, really, especially the past 3 to 4 years. He was really, I really want to say dominant from 2007 to 2012, 2013.
I would even go back as 2004. He was good as soon as he entered the league. 2004 to 2012, 13.
I'm just kind of saying, when he started to make the playoffs around that 2006, 2007 mark, I would say is when I would say that he was quote-unquote dominating at the level of him and his brother Tom Brady, which he still wasn't getting the respect that he deserved back then, and I still don't think people respect him now, even after those 2 Super Bowl victories.
Did you say his brother Tom Brady?
No, his brother and Tom Brady. Okay, so like Peyton and Tom. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. two different people. Two different people. But no, I think it's time. I mean, his brother retired a couple years ago, so I think now it's time for him to hang him up. Yeah.
Tyson, I want to get your take on this. Odell Beckham Jr. last night in the first half. I quit watching, I think, right after the first half. I went into the locker room with about 3 to 4 seconds left on the clock. As a guy who went out and got paid, he came out and made all these comments on the team about how the team is bad and everybody needs to improve. This guy, Odell Beckham Jr., believe it or not, as much as you don't like him, and I understand that, I want you to try to leave your biases out of this, is a leader for the New York Giants. We can't deny that fact. He's one of the veteran guys on that team, and obviously the paycheck shows it and the play. But with a leader like that, you got him coming out making all these statements on the team, and he's going into the locker room 3 to 4 seconds before the half's even over. What, is he truly a leader? What's the deal with it?
Well, you just hit it. How you gonna call everybody out, You're going to talk all this crap to everybody. Nobody's got heart. He said that. Nobody's got the heart. Nobody's got the drive. Nobody's got the energy. And then he's going to leave the half early and not even go out for the last play of the half. How are you going to lead these people if you're not even on the field? How can you inspire people? How can you be a leader if you can't even stay on the field? You can't control your emotions long enough to lead them. Yes, I think they consider him a leader, but I think they're putting all their eggs in the wrong basket here. He needs to be a leader. That's what a $95 million man is worth, a leader. That's what he should be, but he's just really not, and we've seen that. He's very energetic, as he puts it, but he's very childish, as I would put it. And you can't have a child leading a team of men. That's not how it works. So I think that's absolute garbage that he would call everybody out and then do the same thing that he's complaining everybody else is doing. I don't understand it.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, he hit the nail on the head. You can't have a child leading a group of men. I don't think it gets much more simpler than that. I mean, that's it.
Going off of that.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Eli Manning has had a bad 4 years probably, and he still is out there for the last play of the half. He's still out there calling the plays. He's still out there getting people where they need to go and telling everybody what to do. He's still out there leading the team, even though he's having a poor couple seasons, even though people are giving him all kinds of crap. People are telling him he should retire. He's got all this stuff breathing down his neck, and he's still out there for the last play of the half. He didn't go in early. He probably could have used a break, went and sat down a couple minutes earlier than everybody else because his offensive line sucks and he's taking all kinds of hits. But Eli Manning's still out there, so I don't understand why this man isn't out there after he got paid all that much, after he called everybody out, after he wants to be a leader. He's a self-proclaimed leader of that team, and if you want to be that, I don't understand how you can go into the locker room early.
Eli Manning, real quick, this is the guy who last year came out of the game himself. His coach was going to leave him in for the first series because he didn't want to lose his streak of starting so many games in a row, and he said, "No, if you're going to yank me, don't start me." That's if you want to talk. If you want to talk about setting aside your pride, unlike guys like, and I hate to say it because I love Brett Favre, but this is a guy who would play hurt just so his streak wouldn't end, even if it didn't give his team best chance to win. So I mean, you got to give, like Tyson said, all the credit to Eli and the way that he's handled this past 4 to 5 years and his decline. He's done a phenomenal job, and he is a leader of that Giants team.
Well, and I hate the Giants, and I don't like Eli, but I've got mad respect for the guy. That takes a lot of balls to say, if I'm not the best option for the team, by all means, go with something else. I don't want to be out here if I'm going to screw anything up for everybody else. I want the team to succeed, so by all means, do what you have to do to make that work.
So I want to stay on the Giants. A lot of people are asking, we're talking about Eli Manning, about why they didn't take a quarterback in the draft, and they took Saquon Barkley over a quarterback. Well, last night Barkley had 229 yards with 200 all-purpose yards, I believe. So that's probably why they didn't take a quarterback. I want to get your guys' thoughts. We haven't talked about him hardly at all on Saquon Barkley coming out of Penn State.
Well, I think that's mostly because the Giants are terrible. I mean, and that's what it comes down to, because this is the only bright spot of that organization as of right now. And people want to talk about OBJ getting paid, and let me just say that was a mistake for the Giants, and I know that me and Tyson talked about that a few weeks ago, or actually might have been over a month ago when he signed his contract before the season started. But that's a story for a different day. When it comes to Saquon Barkley, the reason these guys, and I mean these guys as the New York Giants took him second overall, is because of the things that he does, like you saw last night. Turning a 20-yard gain into a 59-yard play, turning a 4-yard run into a 50-yard touchdown. This is the kind of things that we saw him do at Penn State, and people were asking the questions, well, can he do it at the professional level? I don't think there's any critics out there whatsoever now asking if Saquon Barkley can do it at the professional level, because he's been doing it every single week for the past 6 weeks. When it comes down to the question of why the Giants didn't take a quarterback, I think it's because every draft there's either one or two quarterbacks, and if they were going to be this bad, which I'm not sure if they were going to publicly admit, but I think it was in the back of their minds, this team is not very good, and we're not going to be very good. So if they end up winning 2, 3, 4 games and they get a top 5 pick, you're already looking at a quarterback that you can replace Eli with, and even keep Eli on the roster if he wants to get paid and teach the young guy for a season or two. So when it comes to Saquon, I think this is just kind of his freshman year, his kind of coming out party to the NFL, if you will, and he's just getting used to the league, and he's showing everybody, this is who I am and I'm here to stay.
Well, and I think Saquon has answered that question by himself. Why didn't they get a quarterback? Because look at what he's doing. He's been absolutely dominant in every game. He's leading the team in rushing by far. He's he's even close in the passing game. He had 99 receiving yards last night. I think he's gone for at least 50 reception yards almost every week. The dude's an absolute beast. This is another once-in-a-generation type player, and the NFL has been blessed 3 years in a row. Zeke 3 years ago, we had Leonard Fournette last year, and 2 years ago, and we had Saquon come out last year in the draft. These are three incredible players that it's very, very hard to pass on, and I think they're showing you why they didn't pass on him. And I think, Gavin, you nailed it. They knew they were going to be bad. 2-14. It's hard to recover from that. Flip that. They had to have thought they were going to go something similar, maybe 4-12. And that's exactly what it's looking like. They're going to have every opportunity to draft high again, first, second, third, and get a quarterback. They're going to get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft, if not the top. So I don't think they were too worried about getting a quarterback last year in the draft when they know that they're getting a generational talent in Saquon Barkley, and they still have that opportunity next year. And this problem goes much deeper than quarterback. The offensive line is terrible.
They got to flip the rebuild switch.
Yeah.
They got to tear everything down.
Yeah, they need a large rebuild from top to bottom besides OBJ and Saquon Barkley. Sterling Shepard's okay, so their receiving core is young and they're decent, and they've got a great running back now. They really just need to work on their offensive line and defense, and quarterback will come when it comes.
So I've got one last question about the game last night. Carson Wentz looked more like Carson Wentz. He threw 278 total yards for 3 TDs. Those are Carson Wentz numbers, in my opinion. Tyson hates the Eagles, and I understand why. But last night, are the Eagles back, or are they still going to continue to struggle?
I don't think you can say they're back because they went up against a subpar Giants team that is, let's just say, they're atrocious, and they have been all season. I think this was a good step in the right direction for Carson Wentz because he did throw 3 touchdown passes, and that's what we're accustomed to when it comes to Carson Wentz. But do I think that the Eagles are back? I mean, you're still 3-3, and you're the defending Super Bowl champions. So I don't know if you can say that they're back, but they're definitely not out of it as of right now.
Yeah, I think you took the words out of my mouth, Gav. You can't say they're back yet because they played a dumpster fire Giants team. But they're getting there. We saw that. They're starting to progress a little bit, but you got to take that progress with a little grain of salt playing the Giants.
I'm going to move on to some other NFL games for Sunday. Tyson, your Cowboys are taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at home in Dallas. Jacksonville this season's 3-2. Your Cowboys are 2-3. What do you think?
The only way this situation could be worse is if we were playing in Jacksonville. The only bonus we've got is we're playing in Dallas this year, which traditionally we are worse at home than on the road. I think it's like a .519 win percentage at home and a .570 something at on the road. So the only way it could be worse is if we were playing in Jacksonville. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot looking too bright unless Zeke can have another monster game and Dak can pull it together. But this Jaguars team is good. There's no reason that they shouldn't come in and put up a hell of a fight against the Cowboys. Don't think I'm rooting against the Cowboys here, but they have got to figure that offense out. They've had 5 weeks and still haven't done it. So hopefully this can come out good. But the Jaguars team, their defense is absolutely going to shut Dak down, especially with that secondary they got rolling. And he's already been shut down before against worse secondaries. So he's really going to have to figure something out here. The Scott Linehan's really going to have to figure out his play calling, see if they can't make something work, make some magic happen. But sitting at 2-3, playing a Jaguars team at 3-2, a good Jaguars team, it's really looking not good for this week. Hopefully things will turn around in the future. But this week I'm not crossing my fingers.
Yeah, this is the number 1 run defense in the NFL as of right now. So Let's keep that in mind. Granted, he's going up against the best running back in the league as of right now. So it'll be a good matchup, like Tyson said, but it's going to be a struggle. I think what it's going to come down to is how much the quarterbacks struggle in this one. It's going to be Blake Bortles versus Dak Prescott.
Easy. My boy Blake.
I'm just saying, after last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, he had a rough time against a really – it's a bad defense. The Kansas City Chiefs have a bad defense. So do I think the Cowboys are a little bit better? A little bit.
The Cowboys have a much better defense than Kansas City does. That's our only savior in this.
That's what I'm saying. They have a little bit better chance just because their defense is better. But it's going to come down to how well can they play Blake Bortles. Can they get any points off turnovers off Blake Bortles? A pick six, get in field goal range off an interception, a fumble, anything. Because I hate to say this, but as poorly as Dak has played so far this season, it's hot and cold with him, and especially going up against this kind of defense. Jalen Ramsey, especially after last week, he's going to be upset. He's going to be looking to prove himself better and going in the right direction, because this is a win that the Jaguars need to move into first place over the Tennessee Titans, and this is also a win the Cowboys need to stay in it and be tied with the Philadelphia Eagles for second place in the NFC East right now. So it's going to be a great game, and I'm glad this matchup was on here, and I can't wait to see it on Sunday.
Gav, our Chicago Bears are taking on the Miami Dolphins at noon in Miami. What do you think? Mitch Trubisky is bringing the arm sleeve back. I want you to know that. He threw 6 touchdowns wearing it in Chicago. And also, we are going to have Akeem Hicks. He's not serving a suspension for bumping the official against Tampa Bay. Yeah,
that's the best news that I've heard all week from the Bears. I don't like coming off bye weeks because you're either really lackadaisical or you're ready to play. It's never in between. So the Dolphins, after getting absolutely destroyed by the New England Patriots last week, they're going to be looking to bounce back. Ryan Tannehill, he's hot and cold as well. Played 3 really good games, and then 2 games later on that weren't so well. I think the Dolphins only scored 1 touchdown against the Patriots in Foxborough last week, so he's going to be looking to get a couple more. But yes, it is a good thing because the Patriots defense is very bad compared to years past. Now, for the Bears getting Akeem Hicks back, he's going to be down there with Eddie Goldman and Khalil Mack, and you got Roquan Smith, of course, Danny Trevathan at linebacker, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Fuller, Adrian Amos, all those guys in the secondary. Don't forget about Prince Amukamara. So the Bears defense is going to have to show up, because I don't know if Mitch can replicate the performance that we saw against Tampa Bay, but if he can get 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game, I think that we'll be on the right track, because I don't think Miami is going to be able to put up as many points as they have been the first 3 weeks of the season.
Tyson pointed this out to me earlier today. I agree with him 100%. I want to see Mitch throw at least 2 touchdowns.
Yes.
Sunday. 2. Coming off of that 6 TD game he had against Tampa Bay. I don't want to see him throw 1 or none. I want to see him throw at least 2 touchdowns Sunday.
I would almost expect him to throw 3, just because I think Matt Nagy's going to keep up the pressure and call more plays suited to his style.
Which is good.
Well, we saw him do a lot with the tight ends as well. And we saw Deion Sims and Trey Burton and Shaheen out there all over the field, whether it was blocking, whether it was pulling, whether it was catching the crossing routes and the wheel. We saw the wheel routes that Trey Burton caught for the 39-yard touchdown pass, the first touchdown of the game. Yep. So this is a team that a lot of people they're starting to come around now, and this is what I've been saying the past 3 weeks, is don't sleep on Chicago, especially after the first couple weeks with their defense and how they were showing out. This is a team that I'm confident can win the NFC North and maybe upset a team or two in the playoffs once the time comes. I think this defense is this good. If Mitchell Trubisky can keep up what he's doing and just play decent, play to his strengths, don't try to do anything crazy, and I think this could be, and I know this is my bias speaking, but this could be a dark horse contender to make it to the championship game in the NFC.
Well, yeah, and I completely agree with that. This is all on Mitch at this point. We've seen the rest of the team perform. It's on him to keep up that level. Not a 6 touchdown level, but I don't want to see him throw 2 touchdowns. I need to see him throw 2 touchdowns. I want him to throw 3 or 4, but I need to see him throw at least 2. That would be his 2nd or 3rd career multi-touchdown game. We need to see that. He needs to start playing like the rest of the quarterbacks in the league. At least 200 yards, 250 preferably or more, and two plus touchdowns and maybe a pick. I'm okay with a pick if he can throw 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Oh, I am too.
So we need to see him start playing more like the average quarterbacks in this league. 6 touchdowns, I would love to see that again. That's incredible. That's obviously not going to happen every week. It can't happen every week. But 3 touchdowns every week, that is more than reasonable, more than fair. So even on an off week when he only throws 1 or 2 and they still win, it's not as okay, that's average. It's an off week. We understand that. But I need to see him throw at least 2 to prove that he's still got what it takes. He's still got he is above average. There's a reason they drafted him number 2 overall. So I'm very excited with his performance a couple weeks ago, but we need to see him keep up that level of quarterback play.
And one more thing I want to touch on before we get to the last game is I would like to see him run the ball a couple more times a game. He had 2 rushes for over 40 yards against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he should have tucked it a couple more times just because the field was that wide open. I know he wants to make a play, but I think he can make a play with his feet just as well as he can in the air And plus, honestly, I think it's safer. I think Mitch has run the ball enough, especially in college when he was at North Carolina. He knows what he's doing. He ran it a lot last year. I would like to see it a little bit more, especially on the options. Maybe keep it more often than give it away. Teams are really good about closing in on the running back, so I don't see that this would be a big issue for him. Just Matt Nagy call his number a couple more times, and I think the Bears would be in good shape.
Last game of the week, we got the Chiefs and Patty Mahomes and what he's been doing all year. 5-0 going into Foxborough, taking on Tom Brady and the Patriots, who are 3-2. Now, as we all know, it's extremely tough to play in Foxborough. It is extremely tough. Hard to win there, let alone play there. So, do you guys think that Patty Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid can go in there and beat Belichick and Tom Brady? Who Josh Gordon, has said that he and Brady are now developed a good chemistry together. That could be scary if that's true.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. That's scary. Tom Brady can throw to anybody. Now he's got somebody that he likes again to throw to, is someone that he can get the ball to at any situation. That's scary. And I think this could easily be an AFC championship matchup that we're seeing early on in the season here. But this is going to be an incredible game. I can't wait to watch it. But I think the Chiefs have an incredible chance to go out there and win this game. I think they have the best chance anybody's going to have all year.
Strolling into Foxborough,
right,
taking the W.
But traditionally, quarterbacks under the age of 25 struggle. And when I say that, I mean career 0-23 quarterbacks under the age of 25 in Foxborough.
That's tough.
Not one quarterback under that age has gone to Foxborough and beaten Tom Brady. It's very, very hard to do. Do I think they have a chance? Yes. Do I think they will? Probably not. Tom Brady is a different animal at home in the cold than he is anywhere else, and I've got no idea why, but it's going to be really good. If Patrick Mahomes can keep up the level of play that he's been playing at, I think they have as good a chance as anybody.
The argument that I see a lot of people making is the Kansas City Chiefs went into Foxborough the first game of the season last year with Alex Smith and destroyed the Patriots by 20-plus points. Now, do I think that performance is able to be replicated, especially with a quarterback who I think at this point this season is better than Alex Smith? It's possible. It's very possible. But as Tyson said, the pressure might get to him. And there's a reason that quarterbacks under the age of 25 have not won a game there as long as Tom Brady's been the quarterback, and it's because it's Tom freaking Brady. Open your eyes. He's got the second coming to Randy Moss, as in the words of Skip Bayless. Josh Gordon he's a different cat, but I'll tell you what, he's one hell of a talent. And now that he's got a quarterback that can finally talk some sense into him, as much as I don't like Tom Brady, he's a sensible guy, and he's one hell of a quarterback. I just don't think the Chiefs are going to have enough, especially with their shoddy defense. I think it's going to be a shootout ultimately, but I think the Patriots will come out by at least one score. But it'll definitely be a fireworks show for sure.
For sure.
All right, so let's go ahead.
I got for today.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and hand it over to Tyson, but we'll stick with football. Done with the NFL. We're going to move into the Week 8 picks for Central Illinois high school football, and go ahead and take it away, man.
All right, so we let Gavin pick the lineup for our 10 games this week. Our first game of the week is going to be Mahomet Seymour at Lincoln. Mahomet's sitting at 1-6 on the season. Lincoln's at 2-5. So a close game between two not so very good teams so far yet this year. Who you guys taking in this one?
I'm taking Lincoln.
I'm also taking Lincoln. I've picked Mahomet Seymour a couple times this year in other games, and they've let me down by either one or two scores, and I just don't think they have it in them, especially being away from home. Lincoln's a little far away. It's a little bit of a drive, and I just don't think the Bulldogs have enough.
Yeah, I could agree with you guys there. I am actually going to take Mahomet in this one. Lincoln has looked like a better team so far this year. Their 2 wins come against Macomb. They won 20-13, and against Charleston they won 26-25. So they won in a close one, but they've basically been shut out or destroyed in all the other games. So I'm taking Mahomet in this one. I've picked them more times than I'd like, and they've let me down even more times than I've liked so far this year. And I'm really hoping they can pull this one back and take a W here, because their win against Charleston, they won by a heck of a lot more than 1 point.
And Charleston's a decent team,
right,
too.
And Mahomet ended up beating that Charleston team. I think it was, let me see here. They won 49-20. So we know they can score. We know that their defense is all right. But neither one of these teams is great so far this year. So hopefully Mahomet can take this one in the battle of iffies so far. Our game 2 of the week is going to be PBL against Watseka. Gav, I know you like Watseka. They're sitting at 4-3 on the year. PBL sitting at 5-2. Who you thinking there, big man?
I've taken Watseka every single time this year, so I can't pick against them now, even though I don't think they have a great chance to win in this game. I do think PBL is going to come away with the win, but in the back of my mind, I don't see why Watseka can't bounce back from last week after taking a loss. In a close game, by the way. Their defense I still think is pretty stout. PBL's offense is also pretty good, so this would be a battle of the Giants, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm still going to ultimately pick the Warriors in this one.
I took Clifton Central over PBL last week because I had a gut feeling about how we've played Clifton Central in the past. I also know how we play Watseka as well. Gavin, I know you've picked Watseka all year. We play Watseka. It can go either way when we play them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take PBL.
Yeah, PBL's coming off that tough loss against Clifton. Got a wake-up call, got a smack in the mouth. Wasika's coming off a decent win over Seneca, 22-16. But based on how we've played Watseka in the past, like Cale said, it's basically a 50-50. But the last few years playing Watseka, it has definitely gone our way. And I'm going to go with PBL in this one. I think it'll be a whooping one way or the other.
Yeah, it's definitely either going to go PBL's way or it's going to go Watseka's way.
All right, our next game is going to be Tolono against Rantoul. Tolono at 1-6 on the season. Rantoul sitting at 2-5. Both teams coming off a pretty good win. Cale, who you got?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I second that. Go Rantoul.
I picked Rantoul finally for the first time last week, and I can't say I'm disappointed. They got a good win over. Wait, they played St. Thomas More last week.
No, last
Unity
week.
Unity played STM last week. Rantoul got another win last week, 2-5. That's the best they've had in years. A better record than Unity coming into the game, and I never ever thought I would hear that come out of my mouth. But I'm gonna take Unity in this one, winning a tough one against STM last week, 22-17, that they shouldn't have won. And I think the Eagles probably aren't going to win a whole lot of more games the rest of the year. They would be about par for the course if they don't. So I'm going to take Unity. I think they can pull this one out. Hopefully atone for that record a little bit, maybe in the season 3-6. But next game, we are moving on to St. Joe at Olympia. St. Joe's sitting at 4-3. Olympia at 1-6. Olympia is the first team that Rantoul beat, I believe. Their one win has come against BCC, who is defeated so far this year.
Yeah, 0-7.
I'm going to go ahead and take St. Joe in this one. We know what St. Joe's about. Who you guys got?
Yeah, I'm also going to take the St. Joe in this one. No real reasoning behind this other than St. Joe's dropped a couple really close games this year, or really good games, I'll say, this year, and Olympia has lost to some subpar teams, I'll put it that way. So go St. Joe.
I'm taking St. Joe as well. St. Joe's hot. They lost to a good team this week, or like a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, right? So, yeah, and I'm taking St. Joe just for the fact that they have always played good football, like a lot of small schools in East Central Illinois.
Well, and if they want to make the playoffs, they need these next 2 wins. So I'm pulling for them.
Okay, our next game, we are moving on to Bloomington and Peoria. Bloomington sitting at 5-2 on the year. Peoria at 4-3. Bloomington has lost a couple tough ones against Normal West and Normal Community. Peoria has struggled a little bit more than we thought they would, sitting at 4-3 here. Losses coming against Rock Island and Normal West and Champaign Central. One that we all didn't really pick, them losing to Central, a good win for one of the Champaign schools. But who are you guys going to take in this one, considering that they had now lost to Central, Peoria did?
I'm taking Bloomington. Bloomington's just a tougher team. They always are. Gav, you'll be able to attest to this, I think. So I'm taking Bloomington. 5-2. They always have good talent, it seems like.
Yeah, we only played Peoria one time. They're new to the conference when I attended Urbana High School. Bloomington, we played them all the time. So, Cale, you're not wrong. All the Bloomington teams, Community and Normal West, they all put out teams year after year that continuously make the playoffs. Yeah, Bloomington, I think they just have they're going to be too much for Peoria. I know they're at home. I know they're still a good team, losing a close game last week to Champaign Central. But the Maroons are not pushovers this year. I think that they've put together a decent squad over there across town, and I just think the Purple Raiders are going to take the win in this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Bloomington will win this one pretty handily. Even though they have to drive to Peoria, I think it's still a easy dub for Bloomington.
It's only 25 minutes, 35 minutes from Peoria, so it's not that far.
Right. But moving on, Game 6 of the week, we've got Pekin against East Peoria. Pekin is 2-5. East Peoria is 1-6. Neither one of these teams I have paid any attention to, really.
Cheeks.
Right, but but I don't really know a whole lot about any of these teams. Gavin, I know you picked this one. Let's hear your thoughts on it.
Well, the only reason I picked it is because we played East Peoria in 2012 in the playoffs, the first round. This was the first playoff win Urbana had since 2001. So I just figured, hey, they're doing poorly this year. Urbana's doing poorly this year. Why not bring them back into the Pick'em series here that we got going on? Pekin, I don't know why I picked them, to be honest with you. I was originally going to have Mattoon in here. I forget who they were playing, but I was looking at the Green Wave to throw in here, and for some reason Pekin popped up on their schedule, and I said, oh, Pekin, I've been there a couple times before, so I'll throw them in here. I thought that it'd be fun to throw in a matchup that we haven't seen all season. So
who you picking?
Okay.
I'm gonna take East Peoria in this one.
I was actually just looking at some scores and some records, and Pekin, in 3 of their last 4, they have 1 win and 3 losses in their last 4, and they have led up over 49 in each of the games that they lost. 49, 49, and 54 in the three games they lost. East Peoria, even though they're coming in with a worse record, sitting at 1-6, they have lost games 14-7 in overtime, 14-12. They won 19-6. They lost 18-13. They lost 28-16. A lot of their games have been extremely close. So that gives me hope for this East Peoria team here. So I think I'm actually going to go with you, Gavin. I'm going to take East Peoria on that one too.
I'm taking Pekin. I'm going to differentiate from you guys. I'm going Pekin. I know a little bit about them. I've followed them through the paper in recent years. I just feel like Pekin could pull it out, even though they do have to travel to East Peoria.
Yeah, they did pull out a really big win against Canton, 54-14 or something like that. Whereas East Peoria only beat Canton 19-6. So it'll definitely be an interesting matchup here. But moving on, we've got Champaign Central against Normal West. Central, we just touched on, ended up beating Peoria last week. So Central against Normal West. We just talked about it. The Normal and Bloomington teams always put together hella good teams. And Gavin said it earlier. Champaign Central has been a very pleasant surprise so far this year, sitting at 5-2. Normal West 6-1, no slouch either. But this is going to be another great matchup. Another one I can't wait to watch. But Gavin, I know you play both of these teams. Tell us again what you think.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. What I was talking about earlier. Champaign Central, they're the season that they're having. I very easily could have thought the record they have now could have been flip flopped.
Mm-hmm.
So they've definitely won a couple close ones as well. Normal West, I think that they're head and shoulders above anyone else in the Big 12 Conference right now, based off the games that I've seen and dissected so far this season. Their only loss coming to Normal Community Ironmen, and Normal Community Ironmen also lost to Bloomington, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that triangle there.
Yeah.
It's usually how it goes as well. But I think the Wildcats are they have the most talent in this conference right now. Do I think that Champaign Central could get the upset? I think they could. I think they're more than capable of it. They've shown that they can stick in these close games. But if they let it go early, I think Normal West can run away with it, scoring 40-plus points. So I'm going to take the Wildcats in this one.
Me too, just basically for the fact that Champaign Central, yes, they're playing good football this year, kind of remarkable football. But Normal West is better. And not only that, they're taking on Champaign Central at home, so I'm giving them home field advantage, and I feel like they're the better team.
Their fans always show out as well. Every time I've played in Normal West, their fans always show up.
I'm with you guys on this one. I think that Normal West is just head and shoulders above everybody else based on what I've seen so far. They're an incredible team, so I'm going to take them. I think Central will keep it closer than a lot of people are thinking, but I think Normal West comes out with the win at the end here. Moving on, we've got Effingham and Mattoon. Effingham, a team traditionally not very good, sitting at 5-2 on the year, so a lot better than average. But Mattoon also coming in at 5-2, so another close one here. Effingham had lost their first 2 of the season, have come out with 5 straight since then, so coming in, charging in hot after they started poorly. Mattoon lost 1 early, and they lost their last one against Taylorville, 54-17.
Which Taylorville we know is their Taylorville. So.
Right. Yeah. But other than that, they've had some very good wins. They've had some. Their losses are a little one-sided. But other than that, they've won some pretty close games. They've won some tight ones. I am going to pick Effingham in this one based on the games that we've seen them play in the last couple of weeks against Mahomet. Effingham beat Mahomet 64-20, something like that, and Mattoon only beat them 31-28 in a game that Mahomet probably should have won. So I'm going to take Effingham in this one. That's a hard pick for me to pick. I don't really believe in the Flaming Hearts. Not a team that I've ever seen do well for an extended period of time. But they have looked better in their wins, and they've looked better in their losses so far. So I'm going with Effingham.
I played Mattoon one season. It was their last season in the Big 12 when I was at Urbana. And I sort of know what they're about. It's been a while, but I've never played Effingham. So I'm going to go solely off the fact that I've played against the Green Wave, and they're at home. So I'm going to go ahead and take Mattoon.
I'm taking Mattoon as well, basically because I don't know anything about Mattoon or Effingham other than, as Tyson said, Effingham in recent years has been okay, about right around average. They've also had some losing seasons. I'm taking Mattoon for home field advantage since they're both 5-2, so that shows me that they're about the same skill level, even though I understand that Mattoon had that tight win against Mahomet Seymour, 1-6 team. So I'm going to take Mattoon at home.
All right, so we're a little split on that one, but we're going to move on here to Game 9, Morris and Caneland. Morris is 3-4 on the season, Caneland 5-2. Another matchup Cale and I aren't going to know a whole lot about. I do know a chick from Morris, but that's a different story. Gavin, tell us what you know about these teams here.
Well, I can tell you. The Morris Redskins took us out that same year in 2012 when we beat East Peoria in the second round of the playoffs. They took out my hometown Urbana Tigers. I believe the final score was 62-20. So this team was no joke back in the day.
Crap.
Yeah, so they ended up making it to state and ultimately losing to, I think it was Morton.
That sounds right.
Yeah, because I believe they took home the 5A championship that year. But anyway, we lost to the runner-up in the 2012 playoffs, if that tells you anything right there. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. And Caneland, the one thing I can tell you, and will probably sway you in this game, is they are ranked 30th in the state for football. So
even though they're 5-2?
They're 5-2. They're still ranked 30th overall in Illinois 5A football. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and take Caneland in this. I know that they play in the same conference as Morris, and they usually play tight games, but the fact that Morris has dropped 4 games so far this season, that's not reassuring to me, so I'm going to stick with Caneland.
When I was sitting in class, we're doing some stuff like interviews or whatever in class, so I was doing a little bit of research on these two schools. I also know some people in Morris as well, but when I saw that Caneland was 30th in the state, that kind of just swayed me a little bit, and they're also 5-2, and they're at home against a 3-4 team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Caneland as well.
I think you guys have convinced me. I'm taking Caneland in this one as well. The thing that really swayed me was Morris has lost their last 2 games against DeKalb and Sycamore, two decent teams. Earlier throughout the season, Caneland beat both of those teams. So I think that's really our deciding factor there is they lost to the teams that Caneland found a way to beat, and they beat them pretty good too. So I'm taking Caneland in that one. Hopefully it'll be a pretty tight game, but it'll be interesting. And our last game of the week, it is labeled as prime time, baby.
Let's go.
We've got Urbana and Manuel fighting it out for the first win of the season. I cannot wait to watch this. The game is down in Manuel. It's going to be insane. Both of these teams are incredibad. I can't wait to watch them play. Hopefully, I have such a hard time picking this one because I want to.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I have picked Urbana in previous weeks for about, 4 weeks
4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
They let me down 4 weeks in a row. Then we picked them again. They let me down 5 weeks in a row. That being said, Urbana going on the road at Manuel tonight is the night. I'm calling 1-7 tonight. Urbana's not going to let me down, and they're not going to give me 0 wins this year. Go Tigers.
Let's go Tigers. I'm also taking Urbana in this game. Manuel is just as bad as Urbana, but Urbana, the past 3 years, has more wins than Emmanuel combined, so I'm going to go ahead and take Urbana, even though it's just one more win. I'm still going to take Urbana because that's my alma mater, man. I got to get 1 win out of these guys, and if they're going to do it, damn it, it's going to be tonight, so let's go Tigers.
I have not picked Urbana yet this season, and I am going to start now.
Let's go.
That game that we thought that Manual had tied against Peoria, well, they updated their scoring. They lost to Peoria 76-0, and that's about enough convincing I need. I think Urbana pulls it out. They take this win down in Manual. They take it to them, and they're going to take it big. I'm calling 54-21.
Oh my God.
I believe Urbana, I'm picking them for the first time, and they will pull out this win, no doubt.
If they're going to do it, they're going to do it big, according to Tyson.
Go big or go home.
I really hope so. Knowing us, score's going to end up being like 18-6, but let's hope for a good one. Man, please, just one win. Just one win, Coach Walker. Please, one win. But
we believe Urbana is on the schedule. We do believe in Urbana. They're going to pull this one out. We will have to see what happens tonight. But moving on, we are going on to MLB, so let's take it away here.
Absolutely. MLB, the championship series are set in stone, ladies and gentlemen. The Houston Astros will visit the Boston Red Sox for the first game of the ALCS, and the Los Angeles Dodgers will visit the wonderful, beautiful city of Milwaukee to face the Brewers.
Tonight on the 12th of October.
Absolutely. Tonight at 7:30?
7:09.
7:09. Exactly 7:09.
Exactly 7:09.
So we'll definitely be looking forward to that. I will be watching the game. I'm actually going to go to the bar tonight and watch it. But with that said, we need to make our predictions, updated predictions, because I'm sorry, Tyson, but the Cubs did not make it. Me and Cale, on the other hand,
still 100%.
100%
A's and Yankees.
on these picks. Yes, the four teams that we thought would make it
and the Cubs
are here. But with that said, Cale, let me start with you. What is your predictions for the American and National League Championship Series?
American League, it's going to be tough. Boston. I told my family the other day, I said whoever wins, whether it be the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees, is going to win the World Series or at least get to the World Series. I'm going to stick with that opinion. Houston, solid team, tough. Boston, even better. So therefore, I'm going Boston in the American League. Moving down to the National League, LA, I love watching them lose. Nothing makes me more happy in this world than when the LA Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw choke in the playoffs. I love it. It just makes my life so much better.
Does that get your goat?
So Milwaukee is going to take it to the house against the LA Dodgers tonight. And not only that, I'm going to take the Milwaukee Brewers in 4.
Calling for the sweep, really?
Taking
Bringing
Milwaukee
out
in
the
4.
brooms. Okay.
Wow. All right, Tyson. Now with that shocker of a pick there, let's go ahead and move over to you.
Well, we all called this AL matchup Astros Red Sox. Astros sweep the Indians, and Red Sox take it to whoever they were going to play. We all called that. I'm sticking with it. Boston advances to the World Series, no problem. That's hard to say because I just think Boston's pitching is above and beyond, whether it's the bullpen or the starters, and that's hard to say because Houston's got the likes of Dallas Keuchel and the homeboy they got from Detroit. I can't remember his name.
Justin Verlander.
Yeah, Justin Verlander.
But the Red Sox also have Chris Sale and David Price.
Exactly. So even at the top, you've got Justin Verlander and Dallas Keuchel. That's insane to think that those two are probably each going to lose a game. So you got to go with the Red Sox in this one. I think it'll be maybe 5 games, maybe, if Houston can pull out a miracle at home. Maybe 6 if they can pull out 2 at home, but I just don't see it happening. Boston wins that one easy. And I really didn't think I would like to see the Brewers win a series, but there's no one I really like watching lose more either than the Dodgers. So let's go Brewers. I think they'll take this one not in 4, but I'll give it to them in 6.
All right, well, that brings it to my pick, and I think that we're all a unanimous decision on the Boston Red Sox here, although I will give the Astros
This is going to be a fun series.
Yeah, well, I think I'll give the Astros 2 games because I think I respect them a little bit more than some people. But Red Sox are going to ultimately walk away with this and make it to the World Series again. First time since 2000, man.
3.
4? 3? Okay. Yeah, it's been a while.
They did win the last time they were there.
Right. And it's been a while, but it'll be nice to see a different team there.
Lester.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, moving over to the National League Series, I got to differ. I'm going to take the Dodgers in this series.
Whoa! Get out of your own house.
I'm sorry, guys. As much as I would love to see the Dodgers lose, I think that they've got too much. I'm going to go ahead and call LA beating Milwaukee in 7.
Okay.
I respect
At least it's
that.
going close. I respect that.
Yeah. So no, I think these teams are really evenly matched. Let me say that much. But to say that the Brewers are going to sweep the Dodgers, I feel like your bias is showing there, Cale. I think
it is. I know it.
I think the Dodgers are too good to get swept in this series. But if that does happen, I tell you what, I'll buy you a case of beer on me.
So here's the thing. I want to say this real quick, and I don't like to show biases all that much. I try to keep myself somewhat neutral. But here's the thing: when it comes to the LA Dodgers, I hope they lose in 4. I cannot stand the Dodgers. Nothing makes me more happy than seeing the Dodgers get to the World Series and choke, or not even get there at all, period.
Wouldn't it be more fun to watch them get so close and then get embarrassed by the Red Sox?
No, because I kind of like. Okay, here's the thing: is people are going to scrutinize me for this, and Tyson included. Is I don't actually mind the Milwaukee Brewers. That the Cubs aren't in it. That Brewers being in there doesn't bother me all that much because they're still an NL Central team that's not the Cardinals. Is the reason why I like this. So yes, it's an NL Central team, but it's not the St. Louis Cardinals.
Man, as much as you hate the Cincinnati Reds, and you're okay with the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't. It's not that I don't necessarily dislike the Cincinnati Reds. It's the fact that their front office cannot put wheels in motion whatsoever to put players on that roster. When they have guys like Johnny Bench and Pete Rose, less than 25 years ago, that just baffles me upstairs. Maybe I got a wire short circuiting. I don't know, but no, nothing makes me more happy than seeing the Los Angeles Dodgers lose in any sort of fashion.
Fair enough. Well, we got our series. We got our series set. Like I said, Game 1 of the NLCS going on tonight at exactly 7:09. So make sure you
tune in.
If this video is up by then, hopefully it will be. Tune into that game because playoffs is here. They've been here, but now they're starting to get heated up. But with that said, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. And the ALCS starts on Saturday, correct? Game 1.
Yes.
Okay, so there we go.
Going off of that, we're going to transition completely into the NBA. Gavin, what is going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Well, I can tell you what's going on with Jimmy Butler is that this is a man who has had to fight for everything that he's had. He was homeless for a long period of his life. He had to fight at Marquette to get a starting spot. He had to fight on the Chicago Bulls when he got drafted to get a starting spot. And I can tell you what, when he goes to a team full of millennials and they don't know how to put any effort into anything, wake up, people. He's pissed, and I can tell you why he's pissed. NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski came out on Wednesday with 2 tweets about Jimmy Butler showing up to Minnesota Timberwolves practice, and he said, quote, "All-star Jimmy Butler participated in Minnesota's practice, a session that included him verbally challenging teammates, coaches, and the front office," league sources told ESPN. Butler was emotional at times and also targeting Tom Thibodeau, Scott Layden, Karl Towns, and Andrew Wiggins. He also had another quote following 11 minutes later that read, quote, "At one point in a scrimmage, sources said Butler turned to GM Scott Layden and screamed, 'You effing need me. You can't win without me,' unquote." Butler left teammates and coaches speechless and dominated the gym in every way. He quoted, "Jimmy is back." So, with that said, that shows me that Jimmy Butler believes that he is the best player on this team, and I don't see that it's really any argument. You can say that Karl Towns is, but on the defensive end, I mean, he's really an embarrassment for as talented as he is. He puts no effort into playing defense, as well as Andrew Wiggins. He is the most God-gifted player under the age of 25 right now, and he's not putting any effort into it. And Jimmy knows this. He says that he is the most untalented person on this roster, but he says he gives the most effort and has the most heart. And I truly believe that. An interesting stat that Cale added on these show notes is that Jimmy Butler with the Minnesota Timberwolves last season was 37-22, and the team was 10-13 without him.
So on the floor, with Jimmy Butler being on the floor, the team was 37-22 as a whole. When Jimmy left the floor for injury, whatever, rest, it doesn't matter. The team was 10-13.
And almost missed the playoffs without him.
Yes.
And especially in the Western Conference, winning 37 games when you are the star player, especially coming from the East. He played his entire NBA career up until last year in the Eastern Conference with the Chicago Bulls, is nothing short of incredible. The question that I had coming into this is there's people on both sides of the fence, and Tyson, I want to get your opinion on this. Was Jimmy in the right or the wrong in these comments and coming out to his coaches, his teammates, and the general manager with this statement?
Well, I'm on Jimmy's side here. There's no reason not to be. Basically, the message they've been telling him over the last several months is that these guys' young talent is more important than you and your effort, you and your hard work. We don't care about that because we want what they were born with. We don't care what they do because they were born with something cool. And that, to me, that's a major shot. I have always been a hard work over talent kind of guy. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Amen.
And so I have I know I have said in the past I don't like players that are loud. I don't like it when players talk. I don't like it when players criticize and do all this, yada, yada. Jimmy Butler has every right. They have been slapping him in the face for months now, especially when they went out and paid Karl Anthony Towns to be a max contract player. They're getting ready to pay Andrew Wiggins. They said they won't do anything about it, and you kind of just have to deal with it. That's a major FU, and I'm glad that he's sticking it back to him. And I loved his comment, "You effing need me."
And it shows
and
with
we
that
see
stat.
it. We see it.
That shows it right there.
He went out there with the second and third team guys and dominated in practice against these first stringers.
Didn't lose a single game.
He said, "Piss on you, give me whoever you want, and I will beat everybody in here by myself and with a little bit of help maybe." And he went out there and absolutely dominated. He has shown that he is not only the most dominant player on this team, but he is still one of the most dominant players in this league because he gives that effort, and that's all he wanted was to see a fraction of that from these young guys, and they were unwilling to cooperate with that. So we see how good they could be if they had any kind of Jimmy effort, and how bad they are without it, 10 and 13. So for the GMs, for the coaches, for the players to basically keep saying F you to him and then get dominated, I think that's a wonderful slap that they all needed. I think it's great that Jimmy is firing back. I hope he destroys this team and takes them down to nothing. I hope he can be that big of a nuisance that he himself can have a great year and absolutely make this team crumble.
I do want to add something real quick
Go
off
ahead.
of that. Jimmy Butler apparently and Cat and Wiggins had a players-only meeting this morning. Players only. No management, no coaches, nothing. Players only. Who knows what was said in there? Closed doors. So maybe they had a little bit of a coming to Christ moment, I'll say. You know, maybe they realized, okay, we need Jimmy on the floor. Jimmy brings an extra element that we don't have physically and can't bring, and that 10 and 13 record shows that. Jimmy Butler, as Tyson said, has been one of my favorite players in the league for a long time, going back to his Chicago days. And in Chicago, he was probably arguably, once D. Rose left, the best player on that team.
I don't think there's an argument. I think he's above and beyond the best player that was on that Bulls team, even better than D. Rose. I'm going to go ahead. I know that's arguable.
After injury.
After D. Rose, he's definitely the best. Before, I think it's arguable. But sorry, continue.
So with that being said, Jimmy Butler, to me, I'm going to side with right in the middle. Jimmy Butler being vocal about it, I get it. The Timberwolves not wanting to trade him yet because they're trying to get something out of it, I understand that too. But you know, this is a situation where personally, to me, I'm torn right in half because Jimmy Butler, my favorite player in the league, could very well possibly be going about it the wrong way or the right way, whatever way you want to look at it. To me, it does. I don't know. I haven't determined yet. And also the organization of the Timberwolves being, okay, well, we're not going to trade you yet because we haven't found anything we like that's going to benefit us. And they're not listening to him. The team's not listening to him. So to me, I'm right in the middle. I don't know who to side with. Lashing out like this, it's showing. That's one thing I will say is great for Jimmy. If he's going to do all this talking, unlike Odell Beckham Jr. in the NFL, he's going to come out and he's going to prove what he's doing. So that's one thing I will say with Jimmy Butler that I do agree with about it.
Well, the problem with the team is they know there's an internal conflict. So you're not going to get what he's worth. You're not going to get even close to what he's worth.
Right.
From any other team, unless they're willing to just go for broke on this guy, that you're going to have to take a verbal account that is going to re-sign with your squad next summer. So I see the problem. But if you're the Timberwolves, this is the same thing with the Kyrie Irving situation. Kyrie requested a trade. They know he wants out, and that's why they didn't get enough in return when they traded him to the Boston Celtics. Is that Timberwolves are in the same situation that the Cavs were in last year. So what do? There's nothing really you can do. You take the best available option unless you want this toxicity to continue in your locker room. Because as of right now, Jimmy is going to be a cancer in that locker room. Mm-hmm. A great player, but he is going to be a cancer because he's unhappy, and the players there are not going to change. And they've made that abundantly clear. And I don't care how many meetings they have. They've had player meetings in the past. They've had team meetings in the past. It hasn't changed anything. They're still losers without him, and the record shows for it. 10 and 13. Your team is not even close to the playoffs. You're not sniffing the playoffs in the Western Conference. So I don't know. For Jimmy, I hope that he can get out of there as soon as possible. I feel bad for Coach Thibodeau because they have a strong connection. Because I do feel that the Wolves management has pretty much screwed this whole thing up and gone about it the wrong way. I don't think that they should have given extensions to Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns yet. I think you give your proven all-star, your proven all-defensive player of the year candidate his money first next summer, and then you go ahead and pay your young guys.
Or you trade
they haven't earned
If you're not going to pay him, trade him.
Exactly. But that's the thing is...
But he can walk because he's a free agent.
Exactly, because they can't trade him because they gave up too much last year. They gave up a top 4 pick in Chris Dunn. They gave up a top 10, a lottery pick in Zach LaVine, and they also traded away Lauri Markkanen, their other draft pick. I think he was selected 13th or 14th overall. So with that said, what do you do?
They gave up a lot for him. And
you can't just let him walk like that. You gave up half your team for it. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a very...
Which Chris Dunn in Chicago, I watched him against
he looks
the
good.
Pacers the other night. He did look good.
He looks good.
That is very promising.
Zach LaVine looked really
He
good.
also
against
looked
the
really
Pacers.
good. Jabari Parker
He
looked
rose
terrible.
up and threw it down on the Pacers. Zach LaVine did.
And he
That was
floated there for a
insane.
second, too.
Yeah.
You've seen the little
His
levitation
knee
going
looks
on.
good.
That's the thing, is his knee looks healthy and he looks 100% because he looks like
Must
he
be
did
nice to be
pre-injury.
young,
Yeah.
able to recover.
But going back off your point, continue. Sorry, I just want to
No,
say.
I mean, that was pretty much at the end of it. I mean, that's all it is. I feel bad for Jimmy. I feel bad for Coach Thibodeau. I don't feel bad for the Wolves front office because they've been screwing things up ever since Kevin Garnett was there. So,
One, if you're not going to pay him and you don't want him to walk, don't slap him in the face at
No.
least. And pay Cat and pay Wiggins. There was a lot of things that could have changed about this, but Gavin, I think he nailed it. He's going to be a cancer in that locker room. It's going to be completely toxic. Communications are going to shut down. They're not going to be able to pass the ball. They're going to start fighting each other in the locker room. It's going to be bad all the way around unless you completely just bench Jimmy.
this is a team a
And at
month
that point,
ago.
If you bench Jimmy at that point, he's already won.
Yeah.
The team loses anyway, so it doesn't matter.
What I was going to say is a month ago, this is a team that I thought was a guaranteed playoff team.
Yep.
If the whole team stays healthy. Now, there's no way they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee it the opposite way.
No way in hell they make the playoffs. This is a team that's probably not even going to be a top 10 seed because it's going to be that bad. If there's no team chemistry, if people don't get along, if players can't play with each other, it can't be a one-man show. This isn't the 1980s anymore.
Unless it's Jimmy Butler and the backups, and then it's a one-man show taking down your stars, your all-stars, quote-unquote, your young guys with all the talent.
So with that being said, does LeBron and his group of personalities out there in L.A., do they have the opportunity to replace the Timberwolves and the...
I already gave LeBron and the Lakers a chance. LeBron and the Misfits, I'll call them.
Now with this is an even better...
I gave him a 7 or 8 seed already. I think this almost locks it.
Yeah, I think that they could even get as high as a 4 just because LeBron's that talented and you're already giving up a spot with Minnesota. Do I think the teams like the Nuggets and the Clippers are better than the Lakers right now? No. But they are playoff contender teams, right? So Lakers probably hovering around 4, 5, 6, I think. Maybe 7 if things don't go well. But this is definitely a playoff team. They've definitely replaced the Timberwolves. They're miles ahead of the Timberwolves right now.
So maybe it ain't all bad for Magic and LeBron out there in the group of personalities.
Maybe not. I'm
Because they're not
excited.
actually bad. They're not bad players. Rondo, Stevenson,
No, they're good role players. They're all great role players. Well,
KCP.
Well, when he's not getting DUIs, but that's a story for a different day. One more thing I want to say before we move on to Cale's top 3 stars of the week. We're going to be giving our NBA season predictions on Monday. So, boys, get your calculators out, start reading up, because we're going to have to do the same thing we did with the NFL.
Golden State in
So-
4.
Pretty much. But no, that's just something for you guys to look forward to. With that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to our last topic here, the NHL. And, man, it's been a good first week and a half for the NHL. Yes, sir. The Toronto Maple Leafs off to a historic start, 4-1, best start in franchise history in the first 5 games. I'm ecstatic about that. Austin Matthews and John Tavares leading the way look absolutely phenomenal. But that's besides the point. I'm going to put my bias aside. Cale, I'm going to turn it over to you. Give us your 3 stars of the week.
Speaking of, this is a notable. I didn't have it on there because I'm trying to work it around, even though, yes, I could put him on here every week and every time I do this. Austin Matthews now leads the league in goals and points. So not only is he leading the league in goals, he's leading the league in assists. And now, which makes him the points leader, because I think he is yet to serve a penalty minute, which even last year in his rookie year he has not served a penalty minute to this day. But I'm going with my 3 stars. My 3rd star being Alistair Brinkett from the Chicago Blackhawks. That dude still continues to crush. Now, is he on Austin Matthews' level? Absolutely not. This is his 2nd year in the league with a franchise that has been known to win cups. Obviously, we've got a lot of them in Chicago. But Alex DeBrincat is going to be a game changer on Joel Quenneville's second line. My second star, former Blackhawk, now with the Columbus Blue Jacket, the bread man, Artemi Panarin. That dude is a savage, a stud. He still continues to put goals up. In Columbus, he's probably their staple, their key player, their star, and he will be for a long time. Why Chicago got rid of him, I don't know. Panarin is a goal scorer, and watching Panarin and Kane on the same line on opposite sides of the ice was absolutely magical. Gavin, Kane and Panarin is a Jonathan Tavares, Austin Matthews situation is what that is. So back in the day when we had Panarin and Kane on the same line, that was amazing to watch. But my first star, Tyson's going to love this, and is David Perron from St. Louis with the hat trick in the 5-3 win over Calgary. Calgary, not that good of a team, obviously, but having a hat trick in any game, let alone, is an amazing feat. David Perron and St. Louis, which St. Louis has got a pretty tough team this year, so don't sleep on them. They're pretty decent, but he got his first hat trick of the season. I feel like he's going to have a couple more. Some more notable games I want to talk about, though, is the Capitals and the New Jersey Devils. New Jersey took it to Washington last night. 6-0. That puts the Devils' record at 2-0. They have not started that well in like 7 years. Not only that, they beat the Cup champions, reigning Cup champions. So that gave a little wake up to the Capitals. They're now 2-1-1.
Well, without their goon, can't forget that.
They don't have Tom Wilson, obviously.
Yeah.
They might not for a while if they go through the appeal process. Some more games I want to talk about is the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the Vegas Golden Knights. This one is very shocking to me. The Penguins are now 2-1 on the year. The Golden Knights, Gav, are 1-4 on the season.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
The Golden Knights, after coming out and having the best season ever for an expansion team.
Minus the Blues in 64.
Right. But starting 1-4 the following season, that's something I don't think we ever would have picked.
St. Louis did not do that their second year.
Well, especially after this, not only the season they had, but all the moves they made in the offseason to supposedly either stay the same or improve.
Well, adding Ryan Reeves from St. Louis and then re-signing John Carlson in the offseason and Marc-Andre Fleury, who has yet to find his rhythm. Now, they're only 5 games in of an 82-game season.
But we know 4 losses in hockey is a big deal.
Yes, 4 losses in hockey is a lot bigger deal than it is in basketball.
Absolutely.
Because that goes to your point value. So that means that your guys aren't performing.
And these aren't overtime losses that they're still getting points
Straight
for.
losses.
They're straight losses, so they're getting 0 points in the point column. Yeah, they're sitting at 2 points total for their 1 win, and that's not good through 5 games.
The Blackhawks lost last night in a tough one in overtime again to the Minnesota Wild. Tyson, that tells me that the Blackhawks have to do something because they have to stop all these overtime games. And now I feel like once we get Crawford back, even though I'm not the biggest Corey Crawford fan there is out there, I feel like that these overtime losses and wins may change a little bit.
Well, they played 4 games and 3 have gone to overtime so far. That's a lot of extra hockey for an entire season if they keep up that kind of streak. Good news, they still don't have a loss recorded in the actual loss column. That's insane because last year they were not a very good team. Very bottom of the barrel for the Central Division last year. But they are going to play a lot of hockey and wear themselves out. If they can muster enough points to make it to the playoffs, they're going to be out of gas by the time the end of the season comes. Good news, they don't have a loss. Bad news, they're playing a lot of hockey. They have got to figure something out. Last year's scoring was the problem, and it's not so far this year. And I think you hit it on the head. Crawford will change that. A couple more of those goals will not make it through, and I think that'll cut down the overtime and cut down the overtime losses.
Absolutely. Crawford will be back by the 16th is what I heard. So last season he has not played a game since December 15th. Because he did suffer a concussion against the Ottawa Senators, I believe is who it was. Guys getting their head knocked around, especially in hockey. It's the same as football. That puck's traveling real hard. Guys are burying people into the wall. So that's never good. But I'm glad to see he's going to be back in 100% because, by God, we really need him right now. Last game I want to talk about for last night was the Toronto Maple Leafs, Gav's team, took it to the Detroit Red Wings in a thriller until the third period.
Well, I'll put quotes around "took it to them" because this, like you said, the Detroit Red Wings are not a very good team.
And then the Maple Leafs improved to 4-1. They have won 3 in a row now. after going 1-1, losing to the Senators, which they shouldn't have lost that game. But it's proven that maybe they losing to one of the worst bottom tier teams in the league is gonna help out Toronto a little bit. Brought their chemistry a little more together, or together a little more. Man, English. But yeah, the Red Wings 0-2-2. There's no reason why the hottest team in the league right now shouldn't have beat one of the worst teams.
Yeah, no reason it shouldn't have. But it's like I was telling you off air. If Friedrich Anderson can, limit the enemy team to 3 goals, I think it's a pretty good day for us because we haven't scored less than 4 goals, I believe, in a single game so far this season. So
Matthews scored 2 more last night as well. So
yeah, and also Tavares, he had 4 assists.
Yes,
4 assists last night.
You know who they were, and they were in the third period. 2 of them were to Matthews. So.
Yeah, so I love to see that chemistry between those two picking up.
They're both centers. Honestly,
yes.
Tavares and Matthews are both centers.
Yes.
So that being said, that you have 2 centers, 2 guys that can feed the puck to each other, with mainly Tavares feeding to Matthews. That's like center to wing type stuff. But we got 2 centers doing it, which I think Matthews can play the left side, I believe. So that helps Tavares, and he can come out on the third line on a change.
And the fact that they can both get back and play pretty good defense for what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ice is. Yeah, like you said, nothing short of incredible, man. Most impressive start in Maple Leafs history. One of the oldest NHL franchises, and obviously my favorite team. But I'm looking forward to what they're able to do. Yes, sir. So with that said, that's going to do it for us today. If you like what you heard, make sure to leave a comment or rating in the box below, and also make sure to hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell icon next to it so you guys never miss a beat. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media page on Twitter @sports_twin. With that said, my name is Gavin Campbell. That was Tyson Snyder, Cale Fleming. Cale, good job on the intro, by the way. I think I told you that earlier.
Yeah,
good
job.
Start doing it now.
No outro for you, though.
Yeah, no outro. This is mine. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.